The story says, there was a girl named Layla who lived on the outskirts of Istanbul, Turkey, and this girl belonged to a simple family. She was a student studying for a bachelor's degree, but then dropped out. The reason she stopped studying was that she was a beautiful girl with a beautiful figure, and she always aroused the curiosity and admiration of the people around her, including students and professors. Layla was a chaste and kind girl, who did not talk to anyone except her friends, who studied with her. She would go home and help her mother with the housework, then go to review her lessons. According to the report prepared by the police and what witnesses said, this girl was approached by a young man from a wealthy and influential family. He would always come to her in front of the school where she taught, sometimes in his car, sometimes on his motorcycle. Layla loved this young man, and this young man admired Layla. After a while, Layla became pregnant and could not tell the secret to anyone because that young man belonged to a rich and very influential family, and she was a poor girl who could not do anything. Layla spoke to her mother and told her her secret and what happened to her with that young man. Layla's mother was also unable to do anything. As the days passed, the mother began to think about how to get rid of her daughter's pregnancy, so she began giving her some medicines in addition to some herbs, but to no avail. Layla's stomach began to swell. She grew up and then stayed at home and no longer went to school for fear that someone would notice her pregnancy. After a while, Layla's mother did not find any solution and was unable to get rid of the fetus that was in her daughter's womb. Therefore, Layla's mother decided to go with her sister to the city of Izmit. Layla's mother's sister has 2 children, but she is still young at only 24 years old. Layla's mother told her sister her daughter's story, and Layla's mother said, "We have to find a solution to Layla's problem. I cannot take her to the hospital so they can abort the fetus, and I cannot keep her at home because her father will know she is pregnant and so are the neighbors, and I cannot do anything financially." Then her sister said to her, "Okay, come to my house. My husband, as you know, is a truck driver and is away from home for long periods." Indeed, Layla went to her aunt's house, and then Layla's mother began spreading the news that her daughter was going to work in the city of Izmit. "Aunt Layla, what did you do?" I agreed with Layla's mother that Layla would sit with her at home until she went into labor and then go to the hospital to give birth. But she would not give birth under Layla's identity, because she did not have an identity card, but rather she would give birth under her aunt's identity, because there was no difference between them in age and Layla's aunt was still young. Do you understand? Well, I'll explain more. Layla will give birth in the hospital in the presence of her mother and aunt, but when officials ask for Layla's papers, Layla's aunt will give them her own papers, and thus the girl Layla gave birth to will be registered with the aunt's name on it. The operation was successful, and as we said, Layla gave birth to a girl, and they took her birth certificate. They returned to Izmit and sat there for 10 days. Then Layla's aunt went to the Civil Status Center to register the girl in her name. After that, Layla's aunt's husband learned about Layla's secret, so he agreed to the idea and loved that child, because he didn't have a daughter. After a while, Layla returned to her home, which is located on the outskirts of Istanbul, with the address Layla was working, and has returned to her home today. Days and months passed, and that little girl began to grow in the arms of Layla's aunt. Layla started going to Izmit to see her daughter. She brought him to her home on the outskirts of Istanbul. She was returned to Izmit to her aunt's house. After 2 years, Layla began to think about marriage. Then she met a young man who lived near her house, and she began to go out with him sometimes. But one day, he said to her, "I heard some words. Were you really pregnant?" She told him, "No, I was not pregnant." And then I broke up with him. She remained living with her family, sometimes working here, sometimes working in a store, sometimes as a nanny, and again as an assistant in a restaurant. Then during this period she met another young man, who was working in the army. She wanted him as her husband, and he began to love her too, and she loved him until they set an engagement date. Days passed until the soldier began to hear some news about the girl he was in a relationship with, and one day, he started talking to her, and he said to her, "You are not a virgin, and you are pregnant." Layla said to him, "No, I was not pregnant." The soldier said to her, "Let us verify the truth of your words. We go to the doctor to reveal to us that you are indeed still a virgin." After that, Layla started quarreling and said to that soldier, "He broke up with me." In fact, he broke up with her and moved on. As for Layla, her life continued while she was alone, but she always wished to have a relationship or a future husband. So I started looking from person to person until I met a tailor. This tailor was a handsome young man, and was not married. He owned a house in his name, and a tailoring shop where he worked. She got to know him, then she loved him to an indescribable degree, perhaps even madness, and agreed to marry him without saying anything. He told him that she had a 6-year-old daughter. So she started going with him to his house to make love, and when he discovered that she was not a girl, she told him that she was in a relationship with a young man for the sake of marriage, and the tailor accepted this statement. After that, Layla started thinking and said, maybe this tailor will also look for me, and find out that I have a girl and that I am pregnant, so he will leave me as well. Suddenly a diabolical and dangerous idea occurred to her. What is this idea? One day she went to her aunt's in the city of Izmit and sat with her, and she said to her, I will take my daughter with me like last time. We will go to her house so that she can sit with me for a week because there will be a party next to us, and some girls will attend, and I want her to have fun with them. A little while, then she took some of her clothes, and brought the girl home. After that, she isolated the girl in a room alone, and did not tell anyone about the girl's condition, leaving that little girl without food for a day and a half. After that, she went to the market and bought ½ kilogram of minced meat and a few grapes, in addition to rat poison. She cooked what she brought, mixed the poison with the food, and gave it to the child. Since the child had not eaten for a day and a half, she ate a lot. After several hours, the little girl did not die, but she was in severe pain in her stomach. When evening approached, when the owners of the house would return, Layla got up and brought a plastic thread, and put it around the little girl's neck, then killed her. Then she picked her up, and put her on the bed, and when her mother returned home, Layla told her, my daughter died because she ate poisonous food. Don't do anything. After that, Layla's mother knew that her daughter had killed the child, and she could not do anything. Then Layla went to the place where the tailor worked and said to him, listen, I love you, and you love me. Don't look for me because you're already looking, and asking if I already have a baby. I don't have any child. I'm the girl who left. I killed her. Today we will do that. Her burial ceremony and my family will be in charge of this. She told him everything. She told him complete frankness, and the tailor said to her in astonishment, what girl are you talking about? And she said to him, my daughter. I killed her because I know that they told you that I have a baby girl, and that I was pregnant, and went to my aunt's house. I know everything that is going through your mind. Today we will bury her, and then we will live a happy life. There will be no child after today. Then the tailor went to Layla's house to find out what was going on. He knocked on the door of the house, and her mother opened it. The tailor told her what was going on, and the mother said to him, the child ate poisonous food and died. The tailor said to Layla, what have you done? And Layla said to him, I did this for you and for me. I love you, and I want to live with you now. Don't worry about anything. My family will bear everything, and they will bury the girl. I found the solution to everything. After that, the tailor did not hesitate, and went directly to the police and told them the whole story. After that, the policeman moved to the crime scene, examined the child's body, transported it to the morgue, and performed an autopsy. They confirmed that the child consumed the poison in grapes and minced meat, but it was not the poison that killed her, but rather it suffocated her. Here the search began with Layla. When she came to the police station, they asked Layla about the child's father, so she told them about that young man, who belongs to that rich family. When he came to the police station, he denied it, and the police were unable to prove that the child was his daughter because she had completed her 6th year. Layla went to court and was sentenced to 30 years in prison.